One of the most fun parts about covering Tesla and putting together these episodes each day is that it seems like we're always, you know, almost ready for Christmas or birthdays, ready to unwrap a present. The present this week is, well, we really don't know what the present is this week. We know that, of course, there will be some kind of a car, some kind of a vehicle, some kind of a cyber cab. Beyond that, the speculation is rampant out there as to what other vehicles we might see and as to when we might see robotaxis really on the road, et cetera, et cetera. But whatever it is, get ready to pull on the ribbons and tear into the wrapping paper, throwing it about on the floor as we do, as we men do. Okay, so today is day one of this historic week. And Elon Musk is the one that's calling it an historic day coming up on Thursday. The obvious expectations for Tesla stock this week would be FOMO, because, that's what Tesla does is it goes up the week before, going right into the event. And then, of course, the expectations are that at least in a huge percentage of the cases, Tesla falls the next day. Because why? The explanation is because Wall Street doesn't get it. They don't quite understand what it was that Elon said. They don't quite understand the implications of what's taking place. Now, you've heard me claim on this channel that two things. Number one, after events, and this is Larry's theory, and I believe him, after events where we have a reveal of a new product, or like a Model 3, Model Y, et cetera, that the stock goes up after those kind of reveals on most occasions. That it is the more general science kind of recruiting events where the stock goes down, as well as, of course, many times on the earnings call. We've seen that over and over again. But remember, that's happened to Apple, that's happened to lots of other companies after their earnings call. So, but the thing I claim, and nobody has challenged me on this, is that even when it goes down on the day after, usually a week later, stock is back up to where it was, maybe even higher. Anyway, what is happening this morning? Well, so far, we're seeing that the markets are down this morning. I believe that's in reaction to the fact that bonds have passed 4%. The 10-year treasury is over 4%. What's going on with that? Well, we'll talk about that. Well, maybe I better talk about it now, because I'm afraid I might not remember. Not sure I wrote it down. What's happening with bonds is that the bond market is looking at those numbers, not just the numbers from the jobs report last week, but they're looking at all of the other jobs reports that are all reporting the same thing over and over and over again. And that is that wages are going up at 4% or more per year. Every report agrees on that. They may not agree on how many jobs are being added. They certainly don't. They're all over the place on that. Most places are saying that job creation is flat, maybe even slightly down. People are not hiring, but they're also not laying off. It's just a flat market. But what every single report is saying is that wages are going up 4%. Wages are going up 4% year over year. This is way beyond the Fed's number and would create an expectation of inflation. Now, at the same time, the bond market is saying we also are seeing that maybe business is not as bad as we thought. I think they're wrong to think that way. I think business is as bad as they thought. And of course, we've talked about the two different marketplaces. The marketplace of the consumer, folks that make less than $100,000 a year are barely holding on. People that make over $100,000 a year, these are rough numbers, but people that are well off in terms of their earnings, who have also made lots of money on their homes, made lots of money on their investments, those folks are doing just fine, and they're still spending. So we've got these two different markets that way. In addition, we have two different markets in that we have the government, the healthcare industries, tech industries, and somewhat travel and entertainment like restaurants and whatnot doing okay. Those folks are doing fine. And then we have manufacturing, transport. Well, trucking is eking up a little bit, tiny bit based on the numbers I'm seeing, but all manufacturing and retail and small businesses, et cetera, which will report tomorrow morning, all these people not doing a whole bunch of that side of the curve, not doing so well. Now, in addition to the bonds being up this morning, we also have oil continuing up. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in the Middle East right now, but this seems to me to be a little bit of folks trying to take advantage of that trend right now rather than just, I don't think it's going to hold. I think oil is going to be back down. All right. So, what does that mean in general? Well, Tesla had been a little bit up and then it had been a little bit down. And then last time I looked, it was moving up. It is. So it's still down 274 as we start this episode this morning, but it had been down over four, but it had also been slightly up in the pre-market. So it seems to be following the equities this morning. The equities kind of following the same path. But we'll look again at all these numbers at the end. From Mario Nafal this morning, he says Tesla FSD supervised unmapped is unstoppable. This is a video apparently that Tesla put out this morning. And the words in the video more or less are this: Tesla's full self-driving supervised breaks free from the shackles of HD maps and geofences. FSD uses sensors and real-time data processing to navigate even uncharted territories where no Tesla has driven before. Imagine taking your Tesla on a road less traveled with FSD as your co-pilot, adapting in real time. Embrace the wild roads of the USA and Canada. So that's from Tesla's AI department. All right. This is from TCD. I don't always report stuff from TCD because seems like sometimes it's not the best, but this seemed to be right. This report seems okay. However, a new report by S&P Global Mobility revealed a shockingly high percentage of Tesla customers are embarrassed to drive their energy-efficient EV, according to Inside EVs. According to a release by Forbes, the sentiment has come at a time when concerns about controversial comments and conduct from Tesla CEO Elon Musk may be driving away core customers. Now, this weekend, we saw Elon at a Trump rally. He was jumping around in his kind of on the spectrum way, got a lot of ridicule online, even though, of course, folks on the left are supposed to be so kind with regard to people that are a little bit odd. I wish they would be kind to me because I am a little bit odd. Anyway, but they weren't kind to Elon. But his speech was amazing. It's the kind of speech where you won't forget what he said because he made it very clear what it was that he wanted to get across. This is something I've talked about for a very long time, that Elon is an amazing communicator because his quotes are clear and understandable, and people will continue to quote him years and years and years later. There's hundreds of quotes now. I've included them in some of them in the Elon Musk mission. Anyway, so on the one hand, you've got the odd jumping around, and then on the other hand, you've got the clarity of what it is that he is talking about, in particular with regard to free speech. So the article goes on to say, regardless, brand loyalty for the EV giant has remained high, reaching 67.8 for the first half of 2024, compared to an average in the industry, in the auto industry, of 52.5. Interestingly enough, EV owners have remained open to buying another Tesla EV amid uneasy resale prices. Are questions about the long-term reliability? What long-term reliability? That's not even true. See what I mean? Tesla's brand loyalty has been met with some doubts as it decreased yearly. It decreased yearly. This is notable due to the influx of other manufacturers coming into the EV space, such as the Chevy Bolt. Well, despite such factors contributing to a decrease in brand loyalty for Tesla, the company has only seen a decrease of less than 1%, holding a healthy margin compared to the competition. A big decrease, they talk about it twice, and it turns out to be less than 1%, which would be way within the margin of error on any such polling. Oh my goodness. Forbes says that there are features that need to be updated on Juniper. This is from Forbes today. Model Y Juniper may mirror the Model 3's refresh. The Model 3 refresh likely offers clues about what will happen with Juniper. Number one, performance. The Model 3 performance has more horsepower, up to 510 horsepower, and does 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. So we might see a faster Model Y. The front end has a sleeker hood, lower profile headlights, better aerodynamics. I would certainly expect to see some kind of a change in the front end. Frequency response dampeners, which provide a smoother ride in the refresh Model 3. This is the number one thing I'm looking for in a refresh Model 3, Model Y rather, is to get that ride to the same quality as the Model 3. Tires, upgraded tires and wheels for increased range and much less noise. Seats, ventilated seats. Cabin, a quieter cabin due to 360-degree acoustic glass. All of the windows are made with double glazed glass now, not just the windshield and the front side glass. That is going to be a big plus. Screen, a rear screen entertainment for passengers in the back seat. This is so important for an SUV, which is likely to have kids in the back. I don't know why they couldn't have done that in the like a mid change. Stalkless removal of the stalks in the steering wheel. I don't care about that. Controls, more software, display-based controls such as gear selector integrated into the touchscreen. Sound, upgraded sound system. We all talk about the sound systems on these cars. Hardware 4, yes, of course, hardware 4. I think, though, wouldn't that already be in Model Y? Yeah, I'm sure that's already in Model Ys now, right? Let me know in the comments. I think that's already in Model Ys. Motor, possibly improved motor, such as a more efficient rear motor, and other possible upgrades that weren't inspired by the Model 3 upgrade. Well, of course, so he might have, could be very different things, and these are some of the things they're thinking might be there that were not part of that Model 3. Number one, updated taillights and bumper. A rumor points to a rear light bar. Cameras, an additional camera might be integrated into the front bumper for enhanced autopilot and FSD. I don't think so, but maybe. Battery, potential of larger battery pack. Sketchy rumors point to a massive 95 kilowatt hour battery. Very unlikely. Okay, that's the end of that article. All right, this is Randy Kirk. Please hit the like, subscribe, and notify. Now, what do you want to be notified about this time? Brian White, as usual. He and I will be doing a show here in just a little while, a couple of hours. But the big one today is going to be not that you shouldn't watch Brian White and I, is Larry Goldberg. We didn't get to do the Cathie Wood review analysis. We're going to integrate that into the Good News Monday show. So this will be one of the best Good News Mondays you've ever seen, because the Cathie Wood information was absolutely stunning. You're going to want to see all of that show tonight. All right. By the way, this week the shows are going to be all messed up because of I got not only the Thursday activity where I'm going to go over to Burbank. I've got a wedding on Friday, my youngest daughter getting married. And then I've got going to the zoo with my family on Wednesday. So I'll keep you informed of how that's all going to look. Also, down below in, we have this thing called Patreon. You may have heard of it. 𝐄𝐦𝐬𝐝 letter. Over the last decade, gold prices have more than doubled, marking one of the best rallies in modern history. Over the last 5 years alone, gold is up 76%, is on track to be the best performing asset class of the year, excluding cryptocurrencies and also excluding silver, actually. It continues to feel like gold is rising due to long-term macroeconomic concerns. He says, in particular, the U.S. debt crisis and inflation are in focus. Since the pandemic, the U.S. national debt has increased by $12 trillion, and the U.S. dollar has lost 25% of its value. So gold could be, that long-term place where you go to make sure you hang on to value. All right. One thing should be obvious. Elon Musk is creating massive amounts of publicity with the Starlink going into North Carolina, with his antics at the Trump event that he went to, with his call for people to get out the vote, with his call for freedom of speech. With all of the stuff that's happening this week with the big event on Thursday, Elon is creating so much publicity, and that has to help car sales. So I think one of the things that's happening, I've talked about it, I'll continue to talk about it, is I think that Elon, not intentionally, this is not a way to sell more cars, but he is talking to folks that are to the right of center who are the folks who have been most unlikely to buy Teslas in the past. They're the people who live in the great, the Midwest, which has cheaper gas, for a whole list of reasons. Elon getting folks in the Midwest and getting people that are to the right of center to pay attention to Tesla can only help Tesla sales. I think that they will help Tesla sales. So that is, there was if you don't talk politics right now, there ain't a lot of news out there. It is really, really crazy. All right, so where are we now? Tesla hanging out, negative 376 now, 246.32. You know where I think we're going. I still think 265. Not that hard to get there. But the stock this morning has been up from about up 1 to about down 4 and change, 363 right now. The Dow Jones, which was down more, and now is heading down again, about 134 negative. NASDAQ down 55, although it is doing a little better than the Dow right now. S&P down 1662. Magnificent Seven mostly down. Meta slightly up. NVIDIA up nicely this morning. And the Cathie Woods completely mixed. Everything, every kind of thing that you'd ever want to see, but very narrowly. Not a lot of even double, even not much over $1 in either direction. Okay, so percentage-wise, that would be the Dow down 0.3%. We've got the NASDAQ down 0.3%, S&P down 0.27, close enough to 0.3. So there you go. 0.3 seems to be the deal right now. And I'm saying, and Tesla down 1.43, which is kind of a normal amount when the NASDAQ is down as much as it is. All right. So I'm saying it's all about the bonds. This is very, very, very weird this morning. We've got the bonds at 4.024. I said it would never get above 3.75. So therefore I am wrong. Note that. Doesn't happen that often. Even a broken watch is wrong all but 2 times a day. So, so I am wrong. The bonds have gone over 4%. The only reason, okay, this is what I started to say earlier. There's only a couple of reasons that the bonds could be up more than 4 basis points this morning and over 4% is because the bond market believes that inflation is not as resolved as we thought, and that maybe business is better than we thought. I believe the first, I don't believe the second. I also think that inflation is probably okay, except I can't figure out how this 4% payroll increase is going to play out. Normally the way it would play out, if I'm a business owner and I've got to raise my employees 4%, it impacts my cost of goods if I'm a manufacturer, and it impacts my overhead if I'm a retailer, wholesaler, importer, etc. So I got to raise my prices if I can. But if I can't raise my prices, then I can't make as much money, and so that impacts my earnings, and so that would cause the stock market to go down if my earnings are going down. So anyway, but very strong this morning. 2-year also up 6.9% this morning, getting very, very close to re-inverting. This would be crazy. You got the 2-month and the 3-month both up, but not as much. So those are collapsing a little bit on the inversion. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at oil. We've got oil up another $1.30, $1.22 on the Brent. So that would be put us at 75.68. So we're up almost $10. That'd be 12%. Since we were at 60, more than 12%, 14%. So this is 2% one day right now. Actually, not 1.65. Yeah, I don't think this is going to hold. There's too much oil capacity out there and not enough demand. Natural gas down 2 points. Part of that could be China, as China has been, putting in these big stimuluses, which would cause China to potentially use more oil. I just don't think so. I think this is a very false flag. I think this is not investment advice. Do not be long oil right now. Natural gas down 3.12%, $2.76. So way off of the almost $3 where it was last week. Gold down a tad at 2,662. That's down 580 today. And silver down 1.12%, but still at 32. That's very strong. Copper down 0.57% at $4.05. Call it 455. The buck is down against both the yen and the euro, more against the yen, 0.33, and against the euro, basically unchanged. Bitcoin up 1351. It's 64. So now we may actually have to create a new trading zone for Bitcoin now because now it's trading back and forth between the two trading zones. But anyway, 64 and a few bucks over this morning. Okay, so that is the headline, the number one headline on CNBC this morning agrees with me. 10-year Treasury yield rebounds above 4%. This is the number one headline of the day, believe me. Okay, where are we on Tesla? One last look. Look at that, down $5.23 now. The Dow, not so Tesla's kind of all by itself on that. This latest leg down is all Tesla. No, I can't explain it. Folks, what do you want to call it? Positioning themselves for Thursday. We'll see what happens. Maybe there's some options action taking place. I don't know. But right now, at least, for the moment, Tesla is down 5. My guess would be we won't be down 5 at the end of the day. My guess is it will be better, even though this 4% bond thing is significant. Don't lose sight of that. Okay. Remember, Larry Goldberg tonight. We're going to be talking about Cathie Wood. Huge show tonight. Brian White, very good show. I know what I've got planned. It's going to be very, very good in just a few hours. So hit the notify, subscribe, all that kind of stuff, and then join Patreon. And that's it. It's been great talking to you.